Yo, 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 what is up, y'all? Welcome to the very first episode of Podheads. I am Eazy Zeke. I'll be hosting the series for as long as it goes, as many guests as I can get. Shit, might even do a couple by myself, who knows? But I just want to take a moment to thank everybody who is listening right now, who took a moment to just click that link to either listen on, the streaming platform or watch it on YouTube or whatever the case is. I just really appreciate you for even giving this opportunity. It really does mean a lot. I also just want to thank my guests that I've had so far. I haven't had many. I've only had a few, but I want to thank y'all for even taking a chance and, coming on the show, and, we'll see where it goes, but I really appreciate y'all, and I've enjoyed having the conversations with y'all as well and listening to your stories. So without further ado, we'll get right into it. My first guest is Nick Wimmer. He's one of my best friends. We go way back. He's a football player in France right now. He plays American football in France, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So there's a reason it's just me talking right now. Nick will be on the show, but when we originally recorded it, it was the day after Christmas. He was about to fly out to France. So he was gracious enough to give me a few hours to even shoot the show with him, or the episode, I should say. And we go to this wine bar in Winston-Salem, had a dope setup. The wine bar that we went to, I can't remember the name of it, but they were gracious enough to even let us shoot in there. We had a couple glasses, I might have had an old-fashioned or two, and, I got a little intoxicated. Alcohol is a hell of a drug, and I may or may not have deleted 2/3 of the audio. Also may or may not have deleted some of the video, so there's only going to be a portion of the show with Nick in it. So to Nick and to everyone who was hoping for a full show of Nick, I am sorry. We're going to redo it eventually, hopefully in France. But yeah, I goofed. I made a mistake, and I'm a rookie to this too. I'm pretty new, still learning episode by episode, but thank you, Nick, for all the patience that day too. That means a lot. But I'm going to give y'all as much information I can that'll cover what I did delete from what I can remember. And like I said, me and Nick will eventually shoot this episode again, so he'll be able to actually give y'all the actual information. This is just what I remember and what I know from us growing up together and stuff. But so we're going to talk about his background, how he got up to where he's at now, playing football in France. So like I said, me and Nick go way back. Took a couple trips together throughout college. We were in a wedding together not too long ago, but we actually met in middle school. He told me growing up he played football, basketball, and baseball, elementary and middle school. And then in high school, he started wrestling, and he only played football. So he only was a two-sport athlete in high school, but he did both those sports all 4 years. He was on the varsity football team for all 4 of those years. And he's a big guy, so I assumed he was a heavyweight wrestler or whatever his weight class was. It was 290 or something. I want to say he's 6'2", and he was probably at this time 290 or 280 or something like that in high school. I don't know. But anyways, he played varsity football all 4 years as well. He was offensive line. I also played football our freshman year of high school, and I played JV. But JV and varsity used to practice together. I was a tight end, and him being offensive line and me being a tight end, oftentimes we would have to do a few drills together. I'm not the same size as my friend Nick Wimmer. Wimmy the Whale, as they call him. Just to put that into his size into perspective. They call me the Slender Man, or the Cinnamon from Apple Jacks or some shit. But anyways, we used to have to practice against each other sometimes, and let's just say I didn't play football very long after that. I only played my freshman year of high school, and after that my football career ceased to exist. So Nick continued to play, and towards the end of his high school career, he was also an All-American wrestling for 2 or 3 of those years, and he made it to several state championships. So very athletic dude. Towards the end of high school, had to choose whether he wanted to go to college to play football or to wrestle, and it turns out that wrestling scholarships don't offer as much money as football scholarships. So he ended up choosing football, and he got a scholarship to play football at William and Mary, which is in Williamsburg, Virginia. Oh, and I need to backtrack. He's also an Eagle Scout. So hit him up if you need to build a derby car, or start a fire when you're camping, or maybe if a bear attacks you, he could probably fight a bear. If you needed him to fight a bear. I don't know though. Maybe a small bear. But he got a football scholarship. I got off topic there. He got a football scholarship to William and Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia. So that's a Division I school, so the competition was obviously way different. He started to see people his own size, his own skill set. Eventually, he would get injured, which kind of prohibited him from getting much film. And then we also had the pandemic happen while we were in college. So that also affected his pro day for the NFL. So it just turned out that the NFL was unfortunately not going to work out for him. But he did end up getting an offer to play for a team in France overseas. They liked what they saw. They liked from what film he does have, and they liked his size and everything. So he ended up accepting the offer. And funny story about that is he told me, and he said it originally on the podcast, that he got the offer from Facebook. I wasn't sure. I can't remember if it was from his agent or the team itself, but he got the offer to play for this team over Facebook. Wild. So he ended up accepting this offer, packed his bags, and flew over to France. This is his second season. And then we kind of just got into, the adjustment from living in America your whole life, moving to a different country at, a decently young age. It's a whole different culture, a whole different change of scene, different food, different everything. So he told several stories about that, talked about their, I don't want to say rituals, but, just things they do, their customs and stuff like that they do in France and in Europe, and just the lifestyle over there. So some of that's cut out. It does start with about 30 minutes left of our conversation, but there's like an hour that I had accidentally deleted. So again, sorry about that. But that's kind of like the background and the gist of what we talked about. He gave a lot cooler stories, and it probably sounded a lot cooler with him. But you live and you learn, and we're going to have to redo it. So again, sorry, Nick, and I appreciate you for even coming on. But without further ado, here's the rest of me and Nick's conversation.
Well, they're probably, because like we said, they're being more casual about it. It's not like they're pounding shots and shots and shots. So they probably are able to build up a tolerance more than Americans. Because me personally, I take maybe 4 or 5 shots tops, and then I'm cooked. I'm cooked. And that's before we go out. In Austin, man.
Yeah, that man was on one.
Punching bag game. Maybe I'll put a video up, but if you know, you know.
But I mean, we can talk about football, but with drinking and football, it was cool.
Oh, yeah. I remember some of these snaps and stuff after the game.
So, I got some cool stories about that.
All right, hold up. Let's pause the drinking football, and let's just get into football for a second. So, what was the adjustment from, NCAA, Division I, William & Mary football, getting over to – and this is American football, too, playing in France, by the way, just to re-clarify. But was there a rule adjustment? Was there a skill adjustment? What was the overall – what was the overall layout, how it worked out when you got over there?
Obviously, college football, we said, is a job, right? And it's one of, our highest levels of football in America, right? It's, really when kids that are 16, 17, 18 are, starting to turn into professionals. Yeah. Because, we're doing it day, right?
I'll put American football, especially with NCAA, especially with the playoffs and stuff now, over Canadian football and stuff like that. It's up there. It's up there. Is that bold?
Canadian's pretty good. Canadian's
all right, maybe I take that back.
They're making money out there.
I recheck that statement.
Yeah.
I just think American football, especially when I was growing up, just NCAA in general was just such a huge deal, and just seemed bigger than the NFL to me in some years, you know what I'm saying? Just as far as the skill and the level of gameplay and the maybe not the skill, but just the level of gameplay and stuff like that. So it was a lot different or similar in your
completely different, right?
Completely.
Slower,
it's faster.
Football. It's slower. It's still football, right? But we're just so we grew up playing football. Right? Our schools sponsor our sports, right? So when you play in middle school, you play in high school, it's free to play. You just got to stay an hour after school to practice. Right? Yeah. It's all paid for, blah blah. But out there, that's not really the case. A lot of those kids, they're playing it as a club sport, and especially America. They have soccer, they have rugby, they have a lot of other sports they could play. And playing American football, there's the perspective of injuries, right? Of a lot of people get injured when you play, which isn't wrong, because we had that CTE study come out a few years ago. Mm-hmm. That's that weighs on my head, but. there's a 100% injury rate when you play football, right? And they know that, so they're like, all right, why not just play soccer? Like, not like stick to our more like nationalized sport for them.
And it's a little bit safer in some regards.
Yeah, and but it's also just big, right? Like like
soccer's global.
Like we have football, like that's our
that's
our number one. But like, soccer's global. Like that is their sport.
Yeah.
So, when kids grow up, it'd kind of be like us, like we would. I don't.
It's like if a French
We
person
wanted to get
were
really
in America.
good at, like, if I wanted to get really good at wrestling, right? That's not like you really like get famous in American wrestling, like unless you're
like WWE or
yeah. But like when you think of like major big athletes, right? You're thinking of like Tom Brady, blah blah blah, like all these football players. Like they're thinking of soccer players.
They're
right?
thinking of your Messis, your
Yeah,
Ronaldos.
yeah.
Who's the dude for France in the World Cup? Like 23 years old. He had the hat trick in the finals. See, I don't even watch soccer, but when I heard about that, and
It's crazy.
my man Nick lives in France. See what they won the last World
Cup. I'm
Cup.
going to watch one of their matches this year because they
That'll
play in
be dope.
Paris.
That'll be dope.
And Messi just re-signed for the Paris team. So
That's dope. Shout out to Paris. And shout out to American football in France. Shout out to just European football, though, because they won. France won 4 years ago, I think, the last World Cup.
I don't know. Did they? I don't
Come
follow
on,
soccer.
man.
Sorry.
It's all good. I'm trying to get more into it. It's hard, though.
But yeah, so just talking about like the difference of like French football, right? It's like we grow up playing it, right? So like it's just like a level. I would say it's kind of like our JUCO, like level, but like a lot of those guys, they're not getting paid to be out there, right? They're doing it for the love of the game.
Yeah.
They do it because they love football, right? I mean, like I love.
You got
football.
that passion.
Yeah, they're passionate about it. And I mean, I feel like in some regard they have to watch American. They love NFL, right?
Who was the most popular like football player to them? Probably Tom Brady or something like that.
It was a good mix.
Were all your teammates French?
Majority of them. I mean, there's people from different countries.
Like the Ukraine guy, and then there was another American.
Yeah, like one of
but it was mostly French.
Yeah, and like areas around it. So like, you can recruit other European players from different countries, like
that were on like other teams.
Yeah. So I mean, there was guys from other countries, but you can only have 2 Americans on the team. Yeah, so
because they too good. they got that skill.
Nah, but I mean, like, there's good players out there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's like I think, and like what they're going for is to expose those good players, like the guys.
They don't want all the Americans coming over to France and taking over a already predominantly American sport, right?
Yeah. I mean, but I don't know if that's it as much as like they want us coming over there. Someone like help them, or we're supposed to be the ringer, right? The good guy, but like also just like teaching, right? So like that was a big thing for me is like I'm not necessarily over here to like show that I'm the best, right? But I'm here to teach these guys.
You're expanding that game on a national level for real.
Yeah, like I'm trying to impart some knowledge of like especially O linemen or just football in general on these guys.
I never even thought of it in that aspect, but that's cool.
I think like that was more of my job, more so than just like going out there and like being a really good
and
player.
just playing the game.
Yeah,
you were out there and you were looking at the silver lining in it. It's like maybe I'm not necessarily here just to play, I'm here to kind of expand this sport. Something that you found passion in, and you were able to kind of get a job out of college with. So you're taking it to the next level. You're able to teach these people who don't have it, like we said, don't have the school funding and stuff like that. They don't when they go to high school, they don't have these football teams. They gotta go out of their way to learn this sport. So people like my man Nick going over there, showing them the ropes of the American shit, and
it's cool because like I actually met a guy. He went to Arizona State. He's from France, right? There's some of the French people that are trying to go and like go to college camps and like get the name out, right? So like there's players over there. It's I feel like these leagues are kind of like their showcase and like their resume to try to get into American football, to go to college, to go to. You have guys going to the NFL from it, right? So I think that's a big difference. Is like it's not. Like the league I play in is the top league of France, right? And like they're good, but I think it's more so like a showcase thing for them.
It's like so. See, I got to put it in basketball terms because basketball guy. But when, for instance, when do what?
So we're gonna need some more wine.
I was just thinking that too. I got a little bit of bourbon left, but maybe we'll pause it in a second. We'll get some more. So I gotta put it in basketball terms because I'm a basketball guy. But so like with Melo Ball and Angelo, they had gone to Lithuania and kind of done their thing out of high school. And that was kind of their time to showcase so they could try to make it to the NBA. With LaMelo, it worked out.
Yeah.
Angelo, it didn't. So you're kind of saying that's the aspect of what the French or any European league really is kind of what they're at.
Yeah,
That's kind of like a time for a French or European player, say, to just kind of prove themselves as an established football player and maybe potentially get that chance here in the U.S.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, like, one, they're passionate about their sports, but, like, two, I think that's, they're trying to grow the sport and they're trying to, put themselves on, which is...
See, I'm happy we're actually doing it because this is why I'm doing it, so I can find out some deeper meaning behind the passion my man has, and he's out here growing a sport that's popular here in America, probably the most popular by far, next to the NBA, I would say. He's trying to just make it a global sport, which is dope to think about, honestly, because, hey, we came from the same area, and my man's out here putting on for the world, which is dope to think about. I got to put your French team's... this is a mental note, right? We're making a note of putting Nick's social media handles, his French team, social media handles, and all that, so y'all can check it out if you want to. But trying to think of what else. We covered a lot, honestly. Anything, any crazy stories? We could talk about the clubs in Europe for a second because we didn't really get too much into that. You said it was pretty affordable to drink over there as far as bottle service and stuff like that goes, but as far as bars go, what was the comparison to what it was like to go out here in America? Because we had, like we talked about, it's a different mindset as far as drinking goes here. So is it kind of transfer over to those kind of clubs?
Yeah, I mean, like
France.
So one, the drinking age over there, I think, is 18.
Ooh.
Yeah, so like
it's 18 here too, but just don't get caught.
Just kidding. Underage drinking
But,
is bad. I can't say that.
But so I mean, like, one, you had like clubs that were obviously like for younger people and stuff, and like but I mean, just from like going to different countries, including like Italy and Barcelona and stuff like that, is like they like dancing, right?
Ooh, no matter if they drunk or not.
Yeah, like they like dancing. And, like,
I like to dance.
I mean, like, I'm about it, right? Like,
but you need a little. For me personally,
Yeah,
I
you
need a
gotta
little.
get more- yeah,
I
you
need
need
a flow.
some juice.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
need some juice, some creative flow in me,
And,
inspiration.
so I mean, like, that was like a cool thing, is like their clubs and stuff is like you're going there to dance, right? And like
You're not going there standing on your phone and nothing
I
like
mean,
that.
like, over here, probably I would have, right? But like over there, I was all right. I don't know anybody. Like, like, who gives a fuck? Like, I'm just gonna dance. So
Yeah.
like, I was having a great time. Even I was sweating. Like,
What kind of music they play?
I mean, it's
Is it
like
American or is it like?
a lot of American music, but they have their own French music.
Did you like
it's,
any of it?
pretty Big. Yeah, I did. Like,
French? I don't know any French music off the top of my head, but when I think of French music, I'm just gonna think
wish
of.
hello, bitch.
I'm just gonna think of that's what I think with France.
I mean, that Drake album that came out.
Honestly, never mind.
Yeah, like that. That's a pretty good summary.
It's like
of,
a dance
European
pop
music.
type of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, like
Boots
they
and
have,
hats.
they really like Pop Smoke. Like, what's that kind of music?
Oh yeah. No, I don't know the name of that. Like drill maybe or
Drill.
something like
Like they like that kind of
Yeah,
music
yeah.
too. A lot of that. But I mean, really, like, so like 26, right? Like, I'm not trying to go dance and club every night, but like, it was kind of like picturesque when you like think of France, like sitting outside with your espresso and like lattes and stuff and like drinking. But like, so you take that and turn it in nighttime. Those same places, a lot of them that were restaurants during the day are just drinks at night.
They're
right?
just putting their tables away and stuff, or they just kind of leaving
you're
it
still
all out
outside,
and
right?
just hanging out.
Like, you're still sitting outside. Like, if it's cold, it doesn't matter if it's cold or hot. The French people are sitting outside,
Ooh,
right? Like,
I like that too,
yeah, so,
honestly.
like-
I like sitting outside.
but like they got heaters and stuff out there.
Yeah.
But like they call them giraffe, and they're big, like towers, beer
Yeah, yeah.
towers, and so we would get some of those, and like once it's like a social thing, right? You're just hanging out with your people, drinking, not so much like dancing or partying, but just kind of like a social drink. And,
Yeah.
But it's outside, like you're just enjoying each other's company. So that was really like your average.
Like a
night
club
out.
scene, kinda?
Yeah, I mean, like
Not a
you
club
go-
scene, but just a night going out, you said.
yeah. I mean, like, you could go out and club and stuff, but like, I'd rather talk. Like, I'm
Yeah.
cool with those drinking wine and talking, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like, I'm too big to be shoulder to shoulder, right? So,
That was another thing we talked about. This was before the podcast. This was actually when Nick was still over in France and in Europe. We were just talking about, one, the cars being like tiny over there. It's like everything was like a hatchback, which I used to drive a Hyundai Veloster. I don't know how my 6'5", 6'6" ass used to fit in it, but I used to. And said everything over there is that size.
Yeah.
So for a big guy, it must have been hard to kind of maneuver around, and you probably stood out like a sore thumb just being 6'3" or however tall you are.
I was definitely
300
one of the good people in France.
Man, it was a monstrosity.
Yeah, I mean they don't have SUVs. Like everything is a car, right? A lot of them just two
That's
doors.
why you walked everywhere, motherfucker couldn't fit in.
Yeah, for real. Like I saw like one pickup truck. It was my coach's. Shout out Cedric. But like he was very Americanized. Like he's been to like in America, blah blah blah. But what was the question?
I was just talking about you being huge as hell in France.
Yeah. So
And
I
how
mean,
you stood out.
yeah. I mean, I'm big as fuck, right? I'm a big
Did they
ass dude.
automatically
But,
assume
like,
when people found out you were American and that you were as big as you were they automatically assuming that you were a celebrity?
Nah.
Did French? So my parents went on their honeymoon in Paris, and my dad told me just how pretty much people in Paris didn't really like American people. How was that acceptance for you coming from America to France?
So I mean, like I would like to think I can get along with about anybody, right? But like, I would say it's about the same as Americans, right? Is a lot of us are very chill. If you were from France and came over here, I think it's like interesting, and I want to get to know about you. But
you still got those people in the crowd.
Yeah, there's still Americans that are like, build the wall. You better speak our language, right? If you come to America, speak English.
Yeah.
Like, but that's how it is over there too. Like one of the other American that was with me, he was eating and he's trying to order his food, right? And probably butchering the pronunciation and blah blah blah. But the people at the table behind him were like, when in France, speak French. And
about
like,
you?
Nah, to my
the other American guy.
Yeah. So like there was people that are just like if you look at the French presidential, they just had that last year, the
election.
race, yeah, and it's kind of like Republican versus Democrat, whereas like the Republicans want to keep French, right?
Yeah.
They were trying to limit tourism from like Americans and stuff because like they want to keep their French culture French, and like it's the same in America. But I think they're more like apt towards like Europeans, right? Like care like Germans, like they kind of have like a feud with Italy, like. But like
Europe, in a sense, is kind of like its own country in a way. As far
I mean,
as
it just
the
size wise,
yeah.
and that was the craziest thing to me. I mean, not the craziest, like one of the coolest things was like
being able to just travel from country to country like it was state to state.
Nothing, but then the different languages on top of it, right? So a lot of people in France,
and it's a whole different culture too.
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
that's crazy.
exactly. So
it's
like,
a little different
like
here.
I think France is like the size of Texas. I think so. Like I mean, like that, just like that. Knowing how big America is, and like I've been to California and back, right? And like America's America. Besides like some of our food, blah blah blah. But like being able to go from France to like the other side of Europe and not even be as close to the size of America, but everything is completely different. And I think like that was the coolest thing. Was like how separate their cultures were still.
But they were so like they were neighbors. Like it's like
neighbors.
North and South Carolina almost, except you got France and whatever's next to it, Germany or whatever. But that's crazy.
Yeah, but it was cool because like us, we know English, right? You don't know second language, do you?
I know very little Spanish, but it's kitchen like restaurant Spanish.
Yeah, well, like
I know what Papa Fritas and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah. But the cool thing over there was like they know how to speak 3-4 languages, right? So whenever they're over there, they can just communicate. But I don't know.
They're versatile.
They want to say they're smarter than us, but
that's up for debate. That's definitely up for debate.
But that was one of those like stupid Americans, and like, yeah, we have stupid people.
I feel like that's our stigma is we get the brah, like we're the Americans, dude,
and like it kind of is a little bit of that, right? But it's kind of like ignorance, and we're so ingrained in our own culture, right? Like I said, America's huge, so like. We don't really have to worry about neighbors. Like we know Mexico, like we know about
And
their
have-
culture. We know Canada, right? But like, we don't really have to worry about all of our neighbors around us. So like, we just care about America. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's, and I think like that's kind of where it comes from. Is like we're just so big that we don't really.
And we're
It's
still
in the
also
back of our
kind
head.
of we're kind of cut off from everyone.
Yeah, like it's just like the rest of the world is in the back of our head.
Yeah.
Right? So like,
It's literally a foreign
Yeah.
object country.
Yeah.
Like I haven't been to another country yet. I've barely been to a couple different states. Like I said, I just flew for the first time that I can remember, like a month ago when we went to Austin, Texas. So it's crazy to think that voice is cracking now. Crazy to think that you know, in Europe you can literally just travel from Italy to, you know, the UK or France or whatever the case is in a few hours or, you know,
Yeah.
a day's time. You can travel to multiple different countries, which is
yeah,
probably a bigger blessing than it is a curse, honestly.
yeah.
What else? You got anything else, man? What you got coming up for this season? You got any big anticipations, big expectations?
We're
What's
gonna win it all, bro.
at all? What's the like Super Bowl thing over there? Like,
I
do
mean,
they have
it's just
a,
like the
like a Euro
I
Cup
don't-
or something?
Nah, I mean it'd just be like the French Championship. So it's just like just a French league. They have different leagues that like all of Europe, right? But the one I play in is like just French.
I just
So,
thought of what we didn't get into, the post-game drinking and stars.
Yeah.
All right, so this
Yeah.
is after. I'll give a quick
you
little
wanna know
backstory.
some crazy French stories? Hit me up.
All right, we're gonna get into just a little bit of it, but I used to see Snapchats and you know, just videos, pictures, anything after these games that Nick would be sending us because we're in group messages together and stuff of these groups of guys after the game, damn near in full pads, so with like I don't know what kind of beer it was, probably like Miller High Life, champagne of beers type,
Yeah.
and cigars freshly after the game, like 1952 style.
Yeah, man. Like that was crazy. Like, just like,
Definitely not doing that in America.
yeah, no, I mean like
and it's
the
funny
first practice. Sorry,
It's all good. I was just gonna say it's funny to think that you were saying that you kind of almost got healthier over there, but in the same
Yeah.
aspect because everything was so fresh. But you also are smoking and drinking after games, which is
Yeah.
kind of counterproductive in a sense. But that's part of the culture there. I mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you win, you celebrate a little bit, or you lose, you might soak in the misery, or whatever.
Yeah, so I mean, like, man, like that's the craziest part is like after practice, right? Is like in America is like I'm trying to get some Gatorade, I need some water, I gotta do my my physical therapy,
Need Gatorade
and
after getting
ice, and blah
hungover.
blah blah. Like nah, these guys are like walking in and just cracking beers.
That's how you
immediately,
know
right?
drinking is there over there.
Yeah,
When you're
so, like-
drinking that close after a
Yeah,
game.
it's like they just wanna sit down with their beer and like talk about practice, talk about whatever. Like it's just like it but it's also like the teams over there, it's like it's part of their social life, right? I mean, like it's just part of it. So like it's like that's kind of like another opportunity for this like spend time together. Is like for a practice, is to all sit down and have a beer and talk, right? Which is like cool, but like sometimes the motherfucker just wanted some water, right?
Yeah.
But like I mean, like after games, man, it's like sometimes you have them long bus rides. It's like there's no hold bars, right? I mean, like liquor, on the bus.
yeah.
I'm not gonna name names, but like one of the leaders, right? Just like drunk and like I mean, like just doing whatever, just like taking shots, like some drinks, like on this bus,
Having a good time.
having like speakers going, like it's basically turned into a rave. So I mean, it was cool, man. I loved it. But
you
like,
do nothing like that in college,
yeah,
though.
no, I mean, like if you lose, like you can talk, but like you better be quiet. Like,
Yeah.
take it, like, you better be sad.
Yeah, I was about to say, you
like,
gotta be sad.
yeah, you
Like,
gotta be sad. So like,
motherfuckers over here mad.
yeah,
if you
like
ain't sad
I
after
mean,
you
yeah,
lose.
it's just like I don't know. It's not that it like wasn't as serious. It was just like, all right, game's over. Like let's have fun.
It wasn't
Right,
your
like-
whole life. Whereas
Yeah,
here, it
yeah,
seemed
yeah.
like sometimes a loss can kind of affect
Yeah,
the rest of your season or whatever the
Yeah.
case may be, But that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah,
These guys
I-
over there be drinking
it
and
was
smoking
fun,
after
bro.
games.
dude, I got a picture. We were I don't know who we were playing, Montpellier, and someone took a picture of halftime. A guy on the other team, I think it was an O lineman, just like leaning up against the fence, halftime, smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer, at halftime. And I was
Straight up,
like,
like-
what is going on, bro?
Get him a
Like,
leather helmet and some like leather clothes shit. That's
Yeah.
some 1950s shit right there. That is
Yeah.
hilarious.
That was something, seeing that. But I don't even think we talk about like the rules and stuff, but like
Okay, so what's the difference in
there's not a lot really, except there is no rules, right? So like
There's not a big difference, except there's a
mean-
huge difference.
I mean like we have like cameras and stuff everywhere. Talk about like if it was on the pylon, blah blah blah. But like I got videos of myself, right, of just like they're just calling stuff like a hold or whatever, and it's like I'm not even touching someone or like there's just no rules. So like there's no, and like some of the referees, right, are for I think like one of the biggest thing that hinders French football, if any French people are listening, was like their referees from the teams, right? So like they get 2 refs, we get 2 refs, right? So like literally like
That you bring with you when you get there?
I mean, yeah, like literally one of my teammates that was playing one week was the referee the next week, and I was like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Seems
And-
like pretty biased, honestly.
yeah, like I mean, and like so that's like that was wild to me. It was
The honor system's got to be
yeah,
crazy
like,
over there.
and I mean, so that was wild, and like just like a general sense of like the rules and stuff. I mean, just like sometimes there's like saying stuff that like
Did it seem like it was, because I feel like rugby's more European, did it seem like it was kind of more along the lines of those in those
I mean,
cases?
there's 2 different sports, but like
Yeah.
you feel me? I mean, like
It just seems more, rugby seems more barbaric, so I guess what I'm asking is, did it
Yeah.
European seem like it was more like chokeslam tackle versus like, I mean, America, I
Yeah,
guess they still
yeah.
do that
I mean,
too,
there's no,
but
like-
we have like crazy rules that enforce certain
Yeah.
tackling to be prohibited and stuff like that here.
I mean,
so.
yeah, so like that's like a thing is like if you ask the other American quarterback, right? There's no like roughing the passer or anything like that. He was getting slung down, ball like he threw the ball, he's still getting hit, sliding, getting hit in the head. Like they're not
And
calling
this is
that.
France.
Yeah, like it's still like kind of like old school hitting, right?
I mean, they're smoking cigs and stuff in between, so like you better be able to take a hit.
yeah, so like that was like a big thing. It's like I don't know. I think like just like kind of like America, right? The modernization of like American football is like we're really trying to protect the players, right?
In a sport that's probably the hardest to protect someone, man. If you
Yeah.
got 2 people running at each other full steam, and your one's object is to get like point B, and the other's is to get to point A, and the only way to get there is through each other, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to protect you.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. The referees was like a big issue for me, right? Like one of the first games I played, right? It was to be a 15-yard penalty, or no, a 10-yard penalty, right? And they moved the ball back, and I convinced the referee that he moved it back 15 yards and not 10. So he moved the ball up 5 yards.
So you need it.
Yeah, and it was like it was only a 5-yard penalty instead of a 10, and like, but it's just like
You just slide them a cigarette and a beer
Yeah,
after the
basically,
game. That one that was your teammate, probably.
yeah, probably, but like that was the thing. It was like, and also we had the same refs every game, and like
Was
I don't know.
the like first downs and stuff the same distance, like yards for a first
Yeah,
down and like 4 downs? And
yeah, the only like
was there PATs and stuff like that?
yeah, all that was the same.
6 points for a touchdown, stuff like that.
Yeah, all that was the same. The only like weird thing I guess would be is sometimes we played on like in a rugby stadium, so the fields are like different lengths. So sometimes it was 90 yards instead of 100. So
Would that make it a little easier for you since
I
you
really
have
didn't
to
even
go?
notice.
And then, I mean, you're always going to go the same amount of downs.
I didn't notice it
regardless,
until I
guess.
was watching film. Then, like the next week was like, it's like oh, there's no. It just went from like 40 to 40 or whatever.
They
on the
do
line.
quarters or
Yeah. Did we do quarters? Yeah, we did quarters. But a lot of the stadiums like didn't have clocks.
so?
Yeah.
What was it, like a stoppage
Yeah,
type of
like
situation?
the referee was like, "All right, you got 10 minutes." Like,
like
yeah, basically. So,
that's old school too.
yeah, I mean, but
That's
like,
why they call it old world, new world, because you got your old world line, you got your old school rules,
Yeah, yeah.
old school players.
I mean, that's really is old world, new world, and like, I mean, but you make arguments of like why one's better than the other. Right?
Yeah.
You can make arguments on like why them making like wine the, I guess the old way. I don't know, but like bread and desserts and all the stuff that they do really well,
Made from
cheeses,
scratch.
right? It's good,
Yeah.
astronomically better than America, right? Because ours is just produced in a factory somewhere, and but then again, like you have the modern, like everyday, like us, right? Which like, I mean, we're just modern. Sorry, guys.
We're just modern.
But like, I don't know. It's just different, man. Like cultures, like how we interact with one another, like their work day, right? Like sometimes they take like 2 hours for lunch, and like
Didn't
drink
you say
wine
that
on
they had
lunch
like a nap time in between certain things or something like that? Where
nah,
it was like,
what?
I swear, I think it was like one day out of the week they had like a 2 hour where they just closed the doors and like everyone went and napped.
Nah. I mean, like some people probably, but like
I'm making that up.
yeah, I think it was like so like restaurants they don't serve food all day. Like our restaurants they're open from 10 to 9.
Yeah.
Right. Like theirs is like they do a lunch service and they do a dinner service. Right. And like our kitchens or like our restaurants, their kitchens are like set up of like they can microwave a lot of stuff and like sit out quick. Like over there is like they actually have like
It's old school.
French brigades of like one person on one station, one on another, and they're actually like cooking up.
Yeah.
I think that was cool, but yeah, like, but I mean they're still working during that time, but sometimes like they would have time off, of like
Little week.
yeah. So,
Shit. You got anything else you want to tell the people right now, man? Like anything they need to follow on social media, anything like that? I'm gonna put all your social media links in the description of the podcast, and if the video works, I'm gonna put it in the description of the video as well, so they follow you there, see what's up with French stuff. Any shout outs you want to give to anybody? Gotta give it now.
Shout out to homies.
Shout out to homies. Yeah, shout out to
Shout out my French homies. Shout out my family. That's really about it. Follow me. Follow Justin. Follow the podcast.
Hey, we want to give a shout out to Nick for being our first guest. It's been a pleasure having. We talked a lot. I think we covered almost everything. I hope we didn't not cover anything, but only time will tell with that. Appreciate you if you watched. We got a NASCAR guy for the next one, so if you like NASCAR, stay tuned for that. But appreciate you, Nick. I'm gonna dap you up one more time, man. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
With the left. You hit me with the left.
I did hit it with the left. It's because last time I bumped into the mic.
There it is.
But maybe next time I'll be in France and we'll record it there. But till next time, we appreciate you. Have a good one.